Hey everyone, welcome to Web3 Talks. I'm Lisa Amnegard, and today we will be talking about the future of Web3 gaming, a $27 billion industry which is set to grow over 20% year on year. Joining me today is Casey Grooms, founder of Soulbound, a live streaming platform changing the way gamers compete, connect, and earn in the Web3 space. So Casey, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
Great. Exhausted from the last week in Dubai and all the conference activity, but it's been good.
And you're from San Francisco originally, right?
Yes.
How are you finding Dubai?
Hot and actually quite peaceful. So I've been very productive here, and I'm staying another week or so, get some work done, and hang out a little bit.
Well, it's a great place to be, especially now with the weather. It's
cooling
not
down.
not as hot as it was a few months ago. But anyways, before we talk about the future of gaming, I wanted to ask you, since you have a live streaming platform, what is the main difference between live streaming in the Web2 world versus live streaming in the Web3 world?
Yeah, in Web2, there's a lot of barriers to monetize as a content creator. And take an example of Twitch. You're going to need to stream and create content multiple hours a day, keep a large follower base and a viewer base up. And in order to do that, you have to just create content consistently every single day. And you need to maintain an affiliate or partner status within the platform in order to have a rev share of their ad revenue. So we're starting to help remove those barriers and help content creators earn more money quicker and easier. You
come from a mobile gaming background? Or mobile advertising and gaming background?
Yes.
In the Web2 world?
Yes, mobile ad tech.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about why you saw potential in Web3 gaming and more specifically live streaming. I have
a couple different gaming studios that I started with a friend of mine, and we then started Soulbound together around 2021, 2022, with the idea of building a reputation for gamers in Web3. When we got started, in Web3 gaming, almost no Web3 gamings were actually live or still in beta, which is still the case for today. And so we kept kind of like iterating and evolving the platform what made sense based on what's available now and how we can use our past history within the gaming space and user acquisition space into the Web3 space. And that evolved into Soulbound today as a live streaming entertainment platform. And
you just launched earlier this year. And when it comes to Web3 gaming, there's been so much momentum. I think I read recently that there's been over $2 billion invested in Web3 gaming projects. And you yourself, you've also gained a substantial amount of capital this year, I believe.
You did a few small fundraisers.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, why do you think there's so much momentum right now, and is Web3 gaming the future of gaming?
I think hopefully soon, Web3 gaming will just be gaming, and it'll all merge and converge into just gaming, whether that's NFT enabled, crypto enabled, blockchain enabled versus just a normal free to play. And you can see that happening with Gunzilla's Off the Grid game that just released earlier this month in early October, and they spent a rumored $10 million on live streaming campaign. So $10 million were dropped into streamers to stream the game and create activity within that game on Twitch itself. And so for me, that's a super interesting metric to look at, where we being like one of the only and early live streaming platforms for Web3 with a big Web3 gaming niche, we are starting to take revenue from these different games, trying to execute that same playbook that Gunzilla did with Off the Grid, to create activity, create engagement, and bring awareness to their game. And so we're one of the few platforms that are helping kind of like do that and utilize that.
Yeah, and Web3 gaming just offers more opportunities for gamers in general, just to connect and being able to compete in new ways that they previously haven't been able to.
Yes, definitely.
So when I was at the Binance Blockchain Week last week, the CEO of Pexels also mentioned that Web3 gaming is in its immature stages at the moment. So what do you think is the Web3 gaming needs, and what are the challenges right now
It's going to be a lot about user acquisition now and fun gameplay mechanics. And so a lot of Web3 gaming started in the last couple of years. Most of those games either fizzled out or died, or those founders weren't able to execute, and they never had built a game before already. So they're kind of jumping in for a cash grab rather than with the ethos of, I love playing games, I love building games, and I want to take Web3 gaming to the next level. And so there was at least diffusion of founders and companies who were kind of just in it for the cash, and they were in it and they exited now, which is great. And now it's maturing with people who are coming from the Web2 space, building Web3 games, whether that's AAA or AA games. As I mentioned, Off the Grid, it's a big AAA game with 70 million in funding, and they just released and have, their stats are looking very, very well right now. And so the maturity is going to happen with better gameplay mechanics, a live service operation. So, having the game with a live service team on new content that's going to be created, various skins, weapons, and items that you can purchase, and looking at the maturity of user acquisition and retention in games. So it's going to start to be about more than just launch a token, but any retail buyer who is going to be buying your token as a game, Web3 game, they're going to start looking at your metrics. So how many users do you have? What's your daily retention, your 7-day retention, your 30-day retention, and what are your on-chain mechanics? And what's your go-to-market strategy with finding more users and retaining those users?
Yeah, like as we saw, there's been so many investments in Web3 gaming projects, so it's getting more competitive. But in your opinion, what makes a good game?
Fun gameplay at the end of the day. So if you can make a game that's users want to come back and engage with each other, it's a social multiplayer game, at least for Web3, that's probably going to be the best. And it's just fun at the end of the day. So that's going to be the big deciding factor whether your game is a hit or miss.
Yeah, and you're using live streaming as well on your platform. So you also recently announced that just a month ago, or
Yes.
2 months ago now, I guess.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that, about this live streaming aspect in gaming, and what features does Soulbound offer gamers who want this live streaming aspect?
Sure. So, coming from the user acquisition side and the mobile ad tech side, we saw as this market's maturing, there needs to be different channels for games to acquire users and keep them retained and engaged. So as we've been evolving the platform, we made the strategic decision to build out, basically Twitch for Web3. And what does that look like in the Web3 space and the Web3 world? So a lot of those things are monetization tools for the content creator themselves to monetize much easier, quicker. We're making self-serve tools for, as a game developer, you can easily sponsor a stream or create a bounty. And in this aspect of a bounty, you can say upload 20K into a smart contract. Anyone who streams the game and meets the requirements of that bounty campaign will get immediate payout of that bounty. So you can earn $100 for streaming the game for 1 to 2 hours, as an example.
So you get paid to play in a
Yeah,
way. Yeah,
paid to play and paid to create content for the world, I suppose.
And you have some other announcements that doesn't only expands more than just gaming. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we see ourselves, right now we're in the Web3 gaming niche, and has done well for us, and we're kind of building all the tools for Soulbound, capitalizing within Web3 gaming because of our relationships that we have, and we're currently monetized through games paying us to kind of create exposure. But starting next year, we're going to expand this into the entertainment platform as a whole, and that can start to include music, for instance, or in real life chats and video feeds. So we're working with a couple different companies now, exploring on what those tool sets look like for next year, where DJs or artists can live stream and cross-collaborate with other artists and bring on their fans and audience to engage with them and actually participate in creation of a song during that live stream on Soulbound. And then during that creation of a song, everyone's going to earn a percentage of the royalties from that song creation. And so we're working with different companies like Core Protocol, for instance, that's going to track the royalty distribution for anyone who participated in that song creation. But it was live streamed on Soulbound, and then we're kind of like the host of that interaction between the artist and the fans.
So it's really interesting because gaming kind of spearheaded this live streaming aspect, but live streaming itself is a powerful tool which goes beyond gaming. So, and now you're also expanding into entertainment. But do you see live streaming expanding even further beyond that? And what industries could we potentially see live streaming in?
Well, I mean, I think the next thing that we want to start working on after music and in real life chat is network syndicates. So as Netflix, for instance, they're hosting, and buying content, and they're creating like kind of like an entertainment platform for you to watch content. And that's maybe like the next iteration of all of this and the evolution of this is where short dramas, for instance, are very popular right now in Asia and China specifically. So what if users are now kind of like creating their own broadcasting network of short dramas and television shows and these mini drama series, and then that gets exclusively hosted on Soulbound. And that's one area where we're starting to look at and at least just think about as the next evolution of Soulbound, from 2025 and beyond. The second big space is eSports. And so we want to start broadcasting and being that premier broadcast of various esport events around the world. So if you're playing Street Fighter 6 or Fortnite and there's local esport conventions or meetups where people are just like streaming and engaging with each other on an esport match, we want to be there and kind of be that host and provider of that.
And when it comes to live streaming in general, do you think it's going to disrupt Web2 industries, for example, Netflix and other similar industries in the Web2 world? Do you think?
I don't think it's going to disrupt because you have current platforms now. I think it's going to be an add-on and complementary to it. And there's always a play where Netflix might want to acquire Soulbound, for instance, because we've built out essentially right now Netflix is very much focused on curating content and mostly series or movies. But what's after that for them? And they need to start taking a play from this. And so you could already see Netflix building out a games portfolio. So they themselves started to create games and host it on Netflix, but they started to shut down those studios because it wasn't working well for them. But if you look at kind of like that use case, what is next for them? Potentially just now showing, becoming a live streaming platform themselves. And if we happen to build a large fan base and user base and streamer base already for that, it could be, a solid acquisition target for them to onboard it into Netflix now.
Yeah, it's like a partnership, yeah. So when it comes to also the partnerships, when it comes to people creating the content, who owns that content and how does that work?
User owns the content. So the content creator always owns their own content and their own IP. But when they do sign up with Soulbound, there is terms of service, of course, that we're able to monetize and share that content freely and distribute it within the Soulbound network.
That's really exciting. And for anyone who wants to find Soulbound or get involved, how do they do that?
Soulbound.gg is our website, and Soulbound_GG is our Twitter, or X, as they now call it.
Well, Casey, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Yes, it was a pleasure being here.
Everyone, go check out Soulbound, and if you would like to watch more videos on Web3 Talks, please go to YouTube to Web3 TV, and you'll find more videos there. Thank you, and we will see you soon.